I have often worked with fairly high level fencers who come to me and ask me basically, how can they continue improving when they are the best fencer in their local practice and even areas beyond that? And I have a pat answer for that, and it's honestly a fairly easy answer. But the more I thought about it, the more I've worked with this solution, as it were, the more I realized that it applies to just about everyone, to fencers of all levels. Perhaps not the absolute newest fencers, say in the first 6 months or even a year, but certainly to fencers who have hit their first plateau, which sometimes happens as early as 6 months, but typically at about 18 months of fencing is when I find that a lot of people hit a plateau. All right, so let's move on to the actual tidbit of wisdom, shall we say, knowledge. And that is, how can you best make practice work for you? Right? Most of us have one local practice. If we're lucky, it's fairly well attended. If we're super lucky, we've got two practices that we can attend with some good selection of folks who attend those practices. But most of us are not so lucky. At best we've got one practice that we can go to with even a decent sized practice, say about 10 people. You're kind of seeing the same 9 people over and over again. So how can you get the best out of that type of situation? Now, first of all, a structured type of practice where you work with each other to develop drills is a great idea. Drills are seriously underrated. Don't get me wrong, I have underrated them myself, but they really are helpful. But in terms of the actual practice time, when you're there and you're just doing free sparring, there's absolutely a place, a use for just free sparring. But to continue to improve, you need to A, focus, and B, make the most out of the sort of fairly limited resources that you have at a practice. And those two things go hand in hand. Here's what I mean. Pick a skill to focus on, and try very hard to limit yourself to that skill. For example, it could be, I am going to try to parry to the inside. And since a lot of the shots actually come in such that a parry to the outside might be more helpful, parrying to the inside will then require you to perhaps get your body out of line so that the hits do come in a way where parrying to the inside is logical. Would you do that parry to the inside for those types of hits most of the time in a tournament? No, but you will have practiced parrying to the inside and voiding your body. You will have practiced parrying to the inside where for some reason that is all that is left for you. And practice that one thing for at least one sort of session, one fairly long session with a person that you're going to be fencing against that night. And honestly, practice it against like 3 people or even all night. Especially if you have come to the point in your fencing trajectory where you've got like 1 or 2 things that often will kill your opponent. Great, you've got that. Your body has that in your muscle memory. It's there, it's filed away. It's ready for you to use. Challenge yourself to practice other things, because you won't always be able to use your money shot, as it were. And even if that shot can kill 90, 95, 99% of people, you're gonna have that 1% for whom it won't work. The only way to continue to improve and expand in fencing is to become good at many different things. And I'm not even talking about pick up different weapons forms or things like that, but I am talking about how to make the most out of your local practice where you see pretty much the same people over and over again, is see those same people, but you are different. You are focused on one thing. It could be, like I said, one type of parry. It could be you're not going to back up a lot. If you tend to be the type of person who backs up a lot. Someone like me who tends in real life never to really back up, I tend to only go forward, is I limit myself to not going forward at all, or only 2 or 3 steps, and that's it. Making me make the most use out of what I've allowed myself of only 2 steps forward, so that I'm not constantly pushing my opponent, but only closing when I absolutely see the right opportunity. Or it could be practice cuts by first going passe, so that if in a tournament you miss the thrust and you go passe, you start building that muscle memory of now getting a good cut as opposed to laying the flat on because you haven't practiced that. Pick a skill and practice that for, like I said, even most of practice. You can pick different skills each week, or practice that one skill for 3 weeks, see how you do. Think about how you fence. Think about things that could happen that don't tend to happen to you when you're fencing people, and focus on that thing so that you do build up the muscle memory for that, so that if you are faced with it in a tournament situation, it's in your muscle memory and it's another skill card that you can draw out of your deck. Good luck.